coming up before the Louie Bellson Drum Clinic in 5 minutes. It's the last 5 minutes to buy some more raffle tickets. On this go-around, there's going to be a lot more goodies, plus the Ludwig drum is going to be given away. So this is just unbelievable. What he can do with one hand, most people can't do with two, and feet, and so on and so on. So I won't bore you anymore. I'd like to bring to the stage right now,
Louie.
Pleased to call him friend, Mr. Louie Bellson.
1, 2. I always say when I come out first, if the microphone's not working, I usually say that's okay. I was in the children before they had electricity, so I don't need a microphone. Anyway, let me see if I can get this off here. Yeah, this here. I don't know how to approach this particular kind of a clinic, because I see that a whole bunch of drummers out there that play better than I do. So, but I can't let these moments get by without explaining a little something about the importance of the drum set. Because for me, this is one instrument that we're finally getting our just dues. When I was a little kid, they used to say, we've got 17 guys and a drummer in the band. And I used to raise my hand and say, what do you mean 17 guys and a drummer? We're number 18, right? No, you guys are the noise makers. I said, I beg your pardon, we are sound makers. And without us, the band can't swing.
Yeah. Right on.
I was talking to Jay Hour not too long ago, back here, and he said, I want to teach my kid what it's like to really swing, really grab a hold of some tempo and make something really feel good. Because basically, that's what it's all about, isn't it? I mean, technique is important. And when I was a little kid, I had technique coming out of my ears. But I wanted to really have the guys in the band say to me at the end of the gig, man, you really swung the band. That means more than anything else. So what I'm going to do, I'll start playing a little bit. And then as you see, I got a snare drum here. And I want to demonstrate a few things that people like Chick Webb, Big Sid Catlett, and Joe Jones showed me. I was very fortunate to live at the time that these guys were doing their thing. And I can honestly tell you, if it wasn't for Chick Webb, Big Sid Catlett, and Joe Jones, I mean, I'm talking about guys that really showed me how to play the drums, I wouldn't be playing today. And Buddy Rich and I both agreed that the top man for all time was Joe Jones, because out of Joe Jones came Max Roach, out of Max came Melvin, the whole setup. So I like to really bring out this bare truth where I learned it. I didn't invent anything. What I'm doing today has been done for so many years, it's ridiculous. You know, anything you think we're doing something new today, it was done 50, 60 years ago. But I respect the young players today. I really do. They are playing so phenomenal. They're doing things that when I was a kid, if we had to do some of the things we're doing today, we'd have to call 911. So if anybody tells you that the older drummers were the greatest, they were great, but times change. And the new guys coming up are doing fabulous things. I know they forced me to go back and practice again. I went down the other day to hear Simon Phillips play. And I wanted to take him out in the alley and beat him up. Hey, where? But, so, what I'd like to do is play a little bit for you. So just something easy, I call it tap dancing. See, I was a tap dancer when I was a kid. And I relate all my rhythm, dancing and drumming. I went to Africa 2 or 3 times, and I found out that the dancing and the drumming were just like one. Unbelievable. If you've never been to Africa, you got to go there to hear the drummers, first of all, because they're the greatest, especially the guys from Ghana. The way they tune the drums in that climate and the way they play, forget it. So I'd like to do a little tap dancing for you on the drums. Then I want to get over to the snare drum and talk about brushes and sticks and go through a few little things, the importance of cymbals, and because don't forget, all of us drummers, we have our own orchestra right here, right in front of us. Here's the soprano, here's the alto, here's the bass, tenor, bass drum, and we got a multitude of high and low sounds. So we have our own symphony orchestra right here. And so I always tell my students, approach the drum set like you're a perfect choir, and you can't go wrong. And nothing is that difficult that you can't do it. My dad was a music teacher, and he told me, take the word hard out of your vocabulary. He used to hand me a piece of music, and he used to say, here's something, go home and have fun with it. But if he had said, look, here's a hard piece, take it home, I'd go home and I'd say, Dad said this is hard, and it's going to be hard for the rest of my life. Put a stigma on it, you know? But if he said, which he did say, here's a piece of music, have fun with it, I learned it so quick, I brought it back and said, what else have you got? So that's the name of that tune, like Bob Blake would say. Okay, so let me see, I think we're all set here. This first thing I'm going to play is in the key of A5. Show you all my licks at once. Okay, I do that purposely to make it very clear that when it comes to snare drum rudiments, anything that any drummer will play is nothing but a composite of a single roll, long roll, and a flam. Anything I did, there's a composite of one of those three things. So I always stress working with my teachers like Roy and Matt, Mervyn Spidak, and I see, is that you, Dick? Dick Wilson? Dick Wilson out there, ladies and gentlemen. And great drummer, just a little. The importance is to do your homework. So any drummer you see today, like J.R., Joe Picaro, Kurt Dick, all these guys did their homework. They know what it's like to get the hands together and the feet together and then play the music. As a kid, I was always aware of playing the rhythm. One of the first drums given to me was this one back here, made especially for me by Billy Gladstone. And when he gave that drum to me, he put cut snares on the bottom of it. And I was working with Tommy Dorsey's band in New York. And the minute I put that drum on, the whole band turned around. They could tell the difference in the sound of that drum. They said, "What was that?" So I told him, I said, "That's a Billy Gladstone snare drum." So Chet Calderon has that drum on display because I think everybody should take a look at a drum like that because you won't see too many things like that around. I let Harvey Mason and Dennis Chambers use it. I gave it to Harvey first, and he said, "I'll give you my wife for the drum." He's got a beautiful wife. And then Dennis used it. Dennis said, "Oh man, I'll buy it from you." I said, "No, I can't sell it." But it shows you how powerful that drum is. But let me demonstrate here a couple of basic things. Maybe a single roll, long roll, a plan, and a couple other things. The importance of the rhythms. we went to Murder's Good, actually, Nick, you know this. I thought it was pretty hot, you know. And he said, play for me. So I played a little bit for him, and then he said, go over there and sit down. So I sat down and said, no, I'm going to take the boards off your hands and really make a drummer out of you. Because here's what I've been doing before. I've been playing with this kind of position here, with the 2 fingers over, the old jackrabbit position. Heavy sticks, and this stick way up here, this way. What he did was bring that first finger over here, and bring this stick down against the first joint of the first finger, so you really get some feel going. And then the accent, instead of squeeze and release. These are some of the things that I always stress. It's always nice to see a drummer having fun working rather than go like this and you're going to fall off the bandstand in a minute. And I know you got to get in the groove, but don't get in the groove so hard that you fall off the stage. So Joe Jones, that's why Joe was great. He was like a fan dancer. The force was there, but man, the motion was beautiful. And that's one of the things I think that really makes a great player. A couple of things that Joe Jones was a master for the brushes. Now, I know that these things are not used too much, they haven't been, but I think they're used a little more now. Guys are realizing the importance of the brushes. But not to clean the furniture at home, because it's like wrong. So, I'm going to demonstrate a few of the cat dancing that Joe Jones showed me.
Yeah. Woo. All right, Louie.
The great Joe Jones came in at one of the nightclubs in New York not too long ago, and he came in. He always had a newspaper rolled under his arm. And I knew what that was because when he came in, he said, "Okay," he said, "I came in to hear you play." I said, "Well, would you like to play some with the band?" And he said, "I'll let you know." So we played the whole set, first set, and then he said, "I'll let you know this set. You can introduce me." So I introduced him. I said, "You want to come to the drums?" He said, "No, I'll stay right here." He was about 15 feet away from me. He unraveled the newspaper, took his brushes. It just so happened that nightclub, they had wallpaper. So he had wallpaper and a newspaper, and I had the drum set. And I wish I had a tape of what he did, playing on the wall and the newspaper. Because he was playing all this stuff and went way beyond that. And I recall one time at Newport, they had Sunday afternoon, the drummers afternoon. Buddy Rich was there, Elvin Jones was there, Roy Haynes was there, Joe Morello, myself, Tony Williams, everybody. Everybody reached in and did their thing. Buddy played phenomenal, Elvin played phenomenal, everybody. And Joe Jones came out with just a hi hat and a pair of sticks. And when he finished, everybody said, "Good night." That was it. And that's the way that guy was, you know. Buddy Rich and I were on many interviews where they said, "Who's your favorite player?" And both of us used to say, "Well, you know, everybody's a great player. Who's going to say one is better than the other?" It's like comparison, you know, like comparing Willie Mays and Jackie Robinson with Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio. They're all great, you know. So we finally pinned us down, and both of us said, well, we had to say Joe Jones, because what he did and what he still is accomplishing, being dead, what he did left us with such a legacy, you know. But getting back to some of the young drummers today, they're just phenomenal. I was talking to John Robinson. John is here. How about a nice round of applause for John Robinson? Can do it all, man. He's super. And another guy that can do it all is Joe Picaro. Where is Joe? The first time I heard him play, well, not really the first time, but I went to see Jesus Christ Superstar, and I couldn't see who was in the pit, but I knew it had to be some young guy with a lot of chops. And then next thing you know, I'm looking down the pit and I see this old guy, and it's Joe Picaro. Down the road, he's got it coming. Beautiful. You know, I always marvel at the studio drummers because they're magicians. You know, guys like me that traveled on the road for years, like Buddy and Joe Jones, we played every night, but it wasn't where as demanding as what these studio guys have to do, because when you walk in the studio, you never know what's coming up. I mean, you have to be prepared, and whatever it is, the producer's looking at his watch, and they want it perfect the first time, because money is going out the window, you know. And I tell my students, be careful of some of these producers, because they don't know anything. They know about money, but they don't know about music. Because one case, I was in a studio, and it was Joe Harnell, and the producer came by. He was a young guy, and he wanted to make sure that people knew that he was a producer and he was shelling out the money. So he could see that the musicians were having problems with chord changes. So he stepped in and said, "Why don't you guys play that an octave slower?" So Joe Harnell said, "No, there's no such thing." He said, "How about a half octave slower?" I'll talk to you later about that. A lot of you remember the drummer Larry London?
Yeah.
he was a giant player. And he tells me the story. Larry was 325 pounds. And he had to do a record date for an audition for a guy down in Nashville. This guy had a cowboy hat on and 2 white pearl-handled guns. He didn't know what this was. He called these iron. This was iron, you know. So his claim to fame was he heard some young girl sing. He made a record of it and she sold about 5 million copies. So they figured he's a genius. So he called Larry in the room and said, Larry, I don't know what kind of beat I want to hear, but you keep playing your drum set here, and I'll let you know when it comes. The only clue I can give you, the beat sounds like a 3-legged dog. So Larry looked at his watch and said, man, what did I get myself into? So anyway, after 3 hours and 20 minutes, he played a beat like, see that hesitation there? He said, that's it. But after 3.5 hours, Larry, instead of being 320 pounds, he weighed 220 pounds. But shows you some of the things that you have to deal with. You know, Steve Gadd, when he made that record, 50 Ways, with Simon, remember that? 50 Ways to Love It, right. When that record came out, I was doing a lot of clinics, and the kids were all asking me, what is he playing there? And I knew the tempo and the beat, but I didn't know what the fingering was. So I went to him personally, because he's a good friend. And he showed me it was nothing but a march beat. Drum set, so that he got this kind of a sound. He showed it to me. See if I can still play it. Shows you how those guys are musicians. They can hear the bass line and the melody line and come up with it. And I'm sure JR and Joe and all the studio guys, they know that, and they come up with it right away. Just want to respect them so much. I walked in once with Lalo Schifrin. You know that name, Lalo Schifrin? He had me come in and do a record thing. And the first thing I had to play was written in 15/8 times. Lalo was the music. I had to play everything.
That was great.
I had to walk in cold and do that, just spread out the music, you know. He didn't tell me in advance exactly what it was. And I thought Joe and Larry Bunker and Amy were going to be there because I saw a bass marimba, 7 timpani, log drum, and everything. He said, no, that's all you. Then I remembered all the lessons that my dad and Murray Speedlight gave me. Without that, I would have had to bow out and say goodbye, get somebody else. You know? But always be prepared. That's very, very, very important. I think at this time, if anybody's got any questions or something before I do some more things, you got to get some.
Well, did you, the first one is playing Bellson?
Well, they claim I was the first one, but I don't know. The reason I say that, it might have been some guy living in the cave 300 years ago. there was some dispute. Raymond Kinley did something with Will Bradley, where he played just 2 bass drums with timpani on it. About the same time I came out with it. So who was first, I don't know. But there again, you know, if you think they're doing something new, it's probably been done before. You know, it's like the double pedal, the 1 bass drum. I had a picture of him with Tommy Thomas, 60 years old, and he had a crude model of the same thing. But I'll take the credit for it. Yeah, thank you. Well, I used to practice during the summer months in my dad's music store. I'd start in the morning and go all, they had to dig me out of the basement about midnight. But what I did was I wanted to find all kinds of ways to read. I had a big mirror, I'd watch myself play. I took all the records, the Count Basie records, Ellington records, Cindy Lunsford records, Benny Goodman, and played along with them. I was just hungry. I soaked it all in. I'm still doing that today. I think that, of course, when I got on the road, the most important thing happened, playing with the band every night. That was it. Because that's better than practice. Because now I was able to, what I learned with my hands and feet, now put it to work with a band. That's the real test. What you do in a drum set in the band, that's it. Yeah.
You had 2 charts that was like, say, Caravan, something like that. And you play one with like a sextet for the big band. How would you play them different, like as far as the feel or the time goes?
If I was playing with a sextet or a big band?
Yeah.
I think you'd play it the same way.
Really?
You know, I used these big bass drums when I played with Oscar Peterson Trio. And he sounded like 3 big bands put in one. And the tempos that he played were unbelievable. Oh, man. So I just used my keen sense as to what kind of volume to use and what kind of interpretation, just by listening, you know. Yeah, absolutely.
Look.
Oh, right, okay.
What do you do with your fingers when you do the one-handed rolls? With most traditional on the right hand. What do you do with your fingers?
Well,
One hand.
like I played before, when I use the head, I use this finger to guide that left hand. It's like this. Grab my wrist, and all it's moving is just your fingers.
Yeah.
So you learn how to play with your fingers, and then like here. When you do things like that, you have to really relax. You know? And I get on, I depend on the bass player. Because tempos like that. Well, like for instance, with Oscar Peterson, he turned around and did one, and I took drum and he said, play 4 on bass drum. He started off the tempo like
Yeah, have you ever had any problem with carpal syndrome or bothering your wrist?
Never had a callus. I think I'm just hard head, that's all.
You play right.
I've never had any calluses, never had any back problems. They diagnosed me not too long ago as having a little Parkinson's on my right side. But you know it goes away when I play. If you notice once in a while, you'll see a little shake with me. But that don't bother me. All I have to do is call, get on the phone and call Ali. Muhammad Ali, he said, go straight ahead.
All right.
My health is well. My health is real good. I play a gig and I'm stronger at the end of the gig than I am at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I take my medication, but otherwise I'm healthy to me. Oh, the album Conversations. That was Buddy Ricks, Kenny Clare, and myself. Did you notice on that was done in London, they cut out the music part of mine in the Carnaby Street because of publication. So they just put in my drum solo. But that was a lot of fun. Kenny Clare was a great player, and of course Buddy was a great player. And we had a lot of fun doing it. A very interesting thing happened on that day. When Kenny Clare was playing, the bass drum split right down the middle. And he played the rest of the solo with that bass drum split. And Buddy and I were standing in the wing saying, how's he doing that? But he did it. That was a very fine drummer. That's all on record. Okay? Anybody else? Yeah.
Could you discuss a little bit more the teaching you got from Mr. Spivak, and I assume that's the Moeller method?
Yeah, that's kind of difficult to do, and it takes a little time to really get into that. I can tell you this. After that, he's using their fingers and making an accent. Normally, when you make an accent, you do this. I played that, which is correct. But later on, he said, you need to scream and release as you did. In order to make this, you have to come down this way. Down this way towards the drum. Now you've got leverage to get back to the position. It's hard in one lesson to grab a hold of that, but when you do get it, get Wilson will tell you, we're still working on it. We talk about things. Every time I got together with Buddy Ricks, we didn't play on a set. All we did was see who could do this. Anybody looking out would say, here's two guys who've been playing 60 years and all they're doing is scratching the drum. But, you know, in New York, Tuscany made one drummer so nervous, I think the guy quit playing. And then somebody took a Billy Gladstone rubber pad and put it on the drum, and Tuscany went, bravo. But nobody told him it was a piece of rubber, otherwise he said, get that thing out of it. But that's what they did. Because he wanted it so soft that you couldn't hear it.
Mr. Bellson, why do you when they have a song like Bolero, the snare drummer comes in and they play very lightly at the very beginning, and then it the cream comes up. Have you heard Bolero?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm asking. Why does it start off like, I know it's classical, but why does it start off so softly? It sounds like they are really scratching their drum, but why does that happen?
Well, that's what Maurice Ravel wanted. He wanted a very light, delicate sound first. And as the music progressed, the violin got more intense, until it builds up to a double F, then back down again. Because if he started out with a double F, there'd be no place to go. He wanted to start out with a double P, and build it up to double F, and then back down to double P again.
Who are the French drummers who developed the finger grip? Who are the French drummers who developed this?
Oh yeah, the French drummers, also the Swiss drummers.
Yeah.
They play with their fingers. And Dr. Berger, one of the guys that played all those paint plans and things. All right, yeah.
You played all the greatest drums made your time for every manufacturer. Who was your favorite?
Favorite drummer?
Manufacturer, no, the drums.
Oh, the drums.
Yeah, Rogers, Rich, these days.
Well, you know, all those drums were great. My philosophy is this: you can have a regular set of drums and put the right heads on it, good heads on it. The rest is up to the player. I remember Remo came out with PTS drum set, that little flimsy hinges, the pre-tuned head. That little drum set, I took it to Germany and played with a lot of drummers, and they wiped them all out. But what can you say, you know? It's really, once you have an adequate snare drum and you tune them right, the rest is really up to the player. I saw Buddy Rich in New York, in Japan. We went to Japan together. Billy Joe Jones, Charlie Purcell, Buddy Rich, and myself. Something happened to Billy Joe and Charlie Purcell. They got in some kind of trouble. I forget what it was. Anyway, it was Buddy Rich and myself doing a whole 2.5-hour concert. So Buddy said, we need help. So we got two Japanese drummers to join us. One was George Kawaguchi. When George Kawaguchi hit a rim shot, all those flags would come down. I don't know where he got it. Kamikaze fighter during the war. The other guy, his name was Togashi. And Togashi, Buddy had to announce Togashi. So on the way out to the microphone, Buddy would turn on to me and I said, Togashi. So Buddy got on the microphone and said, here he is, Tchaikovsky. So his name was Tchaikovsky. Yeah.
Louie, could you tell us a little about what kind of experience you had working with Jennings? And also, is it true that once told Buddy Rich was the only guy who knew who could go into an empty room and start an argument?
What was that last thing?
Is it true that you once told Buddy Rich that he was the only guy you knew who could go into an empty room and start an
Oh,
argument?
yeah. Is that Brian?
That's right.
Brian Albert? Hey, you know, Brian played keyboards on a thing called Super Drummer. Simon Phillips, Leon Page, yeah. And I trying to talk to Brian Albert. Brian's talking about, I made the statement once in London that Buddy Rich is the only guy I know who can walk in an empty room and start an argument. He used to go to bed with a pair of hi-hats and a snare drum. So we used to put one another on all the time. But he was a great man, great player. And we had 50 years of beautiful association. Marvelous. It's great. Yeah.
There's a long time you switched up sticking when you were playing. Not around. I don't know. Playing some of the different moves. How do you feel? What do you like? What do you not like about switching them? Where they work out? All that kind of stuff.
Well, I think match grip is wonderful. I've been playing match grip and conventional grip for years. And if you analyze the percussion section, everybody plays match grip for years, but the snare drum sets. And now the guys are playing match grip. That's fine. Nothing wrong with it. I mean,
Like, what's the difference when you switch off conventional?